Welcome friends, thanks so much for joining me again today. My name's Alita Finney, nutrition therapist, registered dietitian, and owner of Right Step Nutrition. And I've been asked to share a little something with you all to see if I can support you in any way that might help alleviate some of the stress, some of the suffering that can happen when we are feeling like there's some unhelpful thoughts or behaviors that are happening, and in particular in relationship to food, nutrition, our bodies. So whether or not it's a thought about our bodies, whether or not it's a compulsion about eating or not eating nourishing food, something like that. So what I've been talking with my clients about recently is something that I've been learning to practice myself as well, and I've had a few mentors along the way to support me in that as well. And so the 4-step meditational practice that I'm referring to is RAIN, and so that's an acronym. So R stands for recognize, A for allow, I for inquiry, and N, I like 2 parts to this one. One of them is nourishment, and the other one is non-identification. So in the R, this is maybe sometimes the hardest step, is recognizing that impulse or that compulsion or the urge that happens that typically leads to an unhelpful thought or an unhelpful behavior for you. And so that first step is just seeing if you can recognize when that pull, that magnet happens, and if you can then just see if you can allow it to be there. Can you allow that pull to be there, and can you put a little pause? Can you invite a pause into it and see if you can just let it be with you for a moment? So let it just be there for a little bit. And that will lead into the next part of the process, which is inquiry. So inquiry or investigation of your experience. And the purpose is not to figure out if your experience feels rational or logical. It's literally just to tap into what your present experience is right now in the moment. And so maybe, and do this so gently, right? So if you know that it's hard for you to go and check in with your body, then you might need some extra support from a psychotherapist, a mental health practitioner that's experienced in this area. So when you think about the inquiry and checking in with your body, you want to think about, what are you feeling? Is it maybe there's a roughness, maybe there's a smoothness, maybe there's a heat, maybe there's a cool, maybe there's an expansion or a contraction, or like a racing heart, a dry mouth. What's going on in your body? What's going on? And maybe there's a sense of overwhelm. So those are all the things. What's your experience? What's going on right now with you? And so once you know what that experience is, then you want to see if you notice what it might be calling for. So what's a nourishing experience that it might be needing from you? And so that's the next part in nourishment. So what's calling to you? What's an alternative to the usual autopilot response when you normally have this impulse or compulsion or urge around food, eating in your body, or otherwise? And so what's calling you right now? What do you think would be nourishing? What would be a nourishing alternative to what you currently experience? And so maybe that's figuring out how to soothe or comfort yourself in different ways, in more ways than one. Maybe that's a good friend of mine and I have talked about the benefits of daydreaming, and I just love that one too. So maybe there's a calling or a daydream you'd like to explore, and it just helps release some of that sort of stuck feeling. So give that a try if that feels right for you. And so that's the nourishing piece. So what is it? What's calling to you that really needs that care and that support, or what is it that it needs? Okay. So the second N is non-identification, and it has to do with recognizing that this experience of feeling like you're on autopilot, it's the human experience. We all have it. We're not alone. And it's not that, you know, let's say it's this compulsion. You are not the compulsion. You are not a compulsive person. It is the compulsion. So you've stepped away from it and you understand that it's not personal. It's not just about you. It's about humans in general, and we're all in this together. So just thinking about how that might help frame and take away some of that judgment on yourself, or if you're having any shame, anything like that, know that we're all in it together. So that's the experience or the meditation of RAIN. So recognize, allow, inquire, nourish, and non-identify. And so even if you can't get through the whole process, just to know that in fact, new neural pathways in your brain are being built, even if you get to the first 2 or 3 steps. So even if you haven't figured out an alternative behavior or thought yet, you're starting to plant those seeds, so that if you keep practicing, then those possibilities for opening up different options will come to you eventually. So give it a little try, give it a practice, and let me know what you think. Take care. Bye-bye.